Ciao raga, welcome back to Sun Tzu Secrets. And today marks one of those important days where we announce new partnerships. And so let me welcome on the channel, Mr. Ryan Williams. Ciao Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
So I have to say that it's not just that I'm hosting you one time. It's and this is one of the news that Alberto and I were sharing with everybody in the previous videos. Of course, the Sun Tzu Secrets, our channel is doing very well. So by the way, do not forget to like and subscribe. The target is always to make 100 likes per video. And please click that subscribe button because we need to get way bigger than what we are already. But as part of the news, especially as we walk into 2026, we are going to start some, like I would say, a recurring moment with Ryan, where we're going to bring, let's say, the old world podcast to a competitive level for Warhammer, the old world. Which we found that there's not really so much coverage out there, right, Ryan, at the moment for US?
No, there's not much in the English coverage over here in the United States at all.
So we were chatting about it and we were like, so why don't we just open a new subsidiary of Sun Tzu Secrets officially here in the States? So Ryan and I will go through everything that is relevant for the US community. And of course, if you're from Canada, Australia, UK, any English-speaking country, you're more than welcome to join us and follow us. But we're going to walk through all the different contents we may have: battle reports, tournaments, metagame, analysis, what's going on, composition packages, which is like pretty hot as a topic right now. And we have the privilege of having Ryan as part of the team. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of, Warhammer, the old war player. What did you do? What you're up to?
Last year was a big year for me. Ended up on Team USA. Went over to Mello with Team USA, and we played our games out there. Had me on Expeditionary Force through that, and decided to play 5 of the hardest games of my life over the course of that.
Yeah, you said that.
yeah, it was not an easy game. Through that, we then came into now 2026 season. With that, I ended up going ahead and throwing my name in the hat for a global chair. So I'm one of the new global chairs for the WTC 2026. So
well, yeah, this is big. I mean, I would say this deserves a big round of applause for Ryan. So, which is actually, I would say, great, right? So let's jump right into it. I think one of the things as Team USA we kind of realized in the process, moving us through the WTC online that we won, and Ryan was part of the team, of course, together with me and the other folks you already know. But walking into the WTC in Melle in Germany, we kind of realized step by step that there is a little bit of a gap, right? So it feels like US was a little bit disconnected from everything else, because of course it's like there's an ocean behind in between and all of that. So now, what are you, let's say, expecting out of this chair from WTC, if you know, because I know you just been nominated. So
right now that we're still in the early portions, we're kind of working through the charter. I'm actually trying to reach out to a lot of the Latin American countries and see if we can't start getting them onboarded. I know Argentina's put in their hat this year. Peru, Colombia, a couple of those other ones. We just didn't have connections before. At least the previous chairs didn't have it because we didn't have someone this side of the ocean over here to reach out at the same time zone. So now I'm actively going out and reaching out to a lot of those Latin American countries to see if they if we can get them into the fold, so that way they can make it. Especially with the event this year being so close to Madrid, it's a very easy travel spot for a lot of these Latin American or even North American countries to be able to make it over on a reasonable budget. It's not you have to go over and then find a 3-hour train ride down to the event. We're within an hour and a half of the airport.
Yeah, because let's remind everybody who follows us and maybe they're not very knowledgeable about the WTC next year, so 2026. It's going to be hosted at the end of September in Talavera, which is a small. It's a. No, I don't want to say it's small, because if there's any Spanish speaking people, they will kill me for that. It's a beautiful place close to Madrid. So as Ryan said, this time it's going to be a lot easier probably to just hop on a flight, straight flight to Madrid, rent a car, have fun with your buds and friends, and just drive to Talavera and have a blast. How was your experience, Ryan, in Germany? I mean,
Germany
aside
was
from the
great.
results, because yeah,
Right, yeah. The results we could have done better, but Germany itself was great. I've been over there quite a few times. I ended up taking the longest route of probably most of us. I ended up flying into Hamburg and then driving down from Hamburg down to Melle, which is about two
ah,
and a half hours at the
no,
best
no,
of times.
yes.
Unfortunately, there was uh, a bunch of construction right outside of Hamburg, so it ended up being like 3 hours. 3 hours jet lagged was not great, but I reset pretty quick and was able to bounce back and have a good time during the WTC times.
Yeah, that was nice. So with that, exciting news to hear, especially understanding that now we can consider the Americas as a region, right? So North America, Canada, US, and Mexico, and then Central America, South America, Argentina, you were mentioning. So I think with you being part of the council now, that's going to trigger this, hopefully this gracious cycle of recruiting new players back to the old world. We know our game didn't exist for 10 years, so now ninth age was a thing. Now ninth age is suffering. It's like losing players. We knew that, we could expect that, but meanwhile Age of Sigmar became the main game for Games Workshop for the fantasy thing. So of course there's a little bit of you know space to cover and some distance to cover, but we're seeing like amazing releases, and Games Workshop is really putting a lot of effort with on the old world, right? So that is another thing that I would say is certainly amazing.
Yeah, they're definitely hitting it out of the park with the new releases. The FAQ schedule starting to move looks a little bit faster. Getting some right before an Arcane Journal releases to fix it. Hopefully, we see something early Q1 2026 even to help maybe stabilize some of the game state.
Yeah, 100%. And we did like an episode on all the new releases, and I do think that especially the new Marauders, the new Battalion box that is coming from Wardens of Chaos, it's insanely good, insanely good. I think that release in particular is something that, and we are seeing this here now, it's just so good, and it shows so much focus and investment on. I mean, look at these models, are way better in my opinion. I mean, uh, than the Dark Oath that they have for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So we might be at something here, right?
We might start seeing the best models coming to Old World versus the
Yeah,
stuff that's coming out of Age of Sigmar here recently.
yeah. So with all of this, I do think that we as a community in the States, we were saying like we've been playing a little bit of a in a bubble, right? So there's a specific meta game that is popular in the States, which is great. And me as a European who moved here 10 years ago, I also needed time to get used to it, because I was coming, of course, from Europe, where it's renowned. I mean, we know that there are very different play styles there. But the fact that we really didn't have that much of a communication open with Europe was kind of like there were two separate, paths that we were like exploring. So when we set foot in Germany, or we even started playing the online tournaments, I remember, Ryan, all our debriefs and conversations, we were like, okay, these folks are playing a whole different game. So can you tell us a little bit about what you could notice from a pure US player up until you had the experience with WTC in Germany?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a massive, massive awakening once we started moving over to a lot of those online tournaments and starting to get that exposure into the European meta. Uh, the United States has a very, very aggressive meta. We like punching each other in the face repeatedly until blocks start disappearing. It's just a very American thing that we like to do. Once you start looking at how the rest of the world starts playing the game, the rest of the world plays a much more passive and or more methodical version of the game. Americans, a lot of times you start seeing the line start hitting on turn two. You start seeing those combats, those pivotal moments early in the game. Games can be decided as early as turn three here in the US a lot of times. I've seen it many times at RTTs, GTs. Over in Europe and the rest of the world, I don't really see a lot of the games being like the pivotal moments don't start until about turn four. Turn four, turn five is when the grind and the actual big pivotal moments start to begin. And those first three turns are usually a lot of jockeying for position, trying to be able to get your opponent to make the mistakes. A lot of chip going here and there to try and just start figuring out where the game is going to go. And then the back half of the game is when the game is actually resolved and decided. There's a lot of variance. Like trying to ask any of the American players that were on the WTC team going in the first like the first three turns, you could ask them, "Hey, how's the game going?" And a lot of the times, what we were telling each other was, "I don't know. We haven't actually done anything yet. We're still just moving."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and I love this because I'm smiling because it's kind of like I feel I have two souls. Um, because I've been here 10 years, which is like a lifetime, but I also started playing Warhammer Fantasy back in Italy, and I could totally see that. And I remember our captain for Melle, Phil Carland. By the way, to everybody's watching, we do have an entire playlist and an entire series around WTC. So we did both interviews pre-event with the main captains, so Team USA, Team Italy, Team UK, and we also did a post-mortem um, uh, episode with the top three teams that were on the podium. So UK, Belgium, amazing tournament from those guys, great guys. Uh, please check those videos out because they go through the strategy of list building, combos, all those touches that they did, but like, okay, I'm gonna put this item here because in that way it's gonna work in combo with this, pairing strategies and all of that, which is super interesting. So you'll find the links at the end of the video and down in description. So don't forget to click like and watch those contents too. But yeah, I mean, I totally see that, Ryan. I mean, it's a different way of intending the game. And so I what I loved about talking with you, because you guys have to know that after my wife, Ryan is the second person that I text the more with, usually through Discord. We have our own channels together, and we constantly like share impressions, feedback. Ryan is an avid player. You're playing a lot. How many
Playing a
events
lot.
are you running at this? Are you playing at the same time?
I think I was at four, almost five. I think it was almost five there for a little bit. I think I'm down to, let's see, we've got the WTC. I think I'm at four right now, three or four.
Wow, wow! That sounds like a lot. So there is this constant, amount of information sharing that happens, where we constantly think about, is this list optimized? Did we miss something in our single list, or are we missing something in our team tournaments list? Which is, super interesting. So I think everybody who's watching, might be watching in the future, can be, super could be a super interesting content to just like understand what it means to move and shift the perspective from like, okay, I'm a casual player, to a, hey, I love to play. Uh, I'm not gonna take a flight and go to Germany, but I want to consistently improve my game level because I'm having more fun when I feel like I own the game in a different way. So all of you, these contents are for you. So now let me get into it. So, Ryan, tell us a little bit while I share my screen. What was your most recent experience with the European metagame?
Oh man. Currently we're just wrapping up a game over in the Italian Federation.
Yeah.
We won't go into too many details along it. There's some stuff going there, but
Hmm.
it was a very, very tight game. 5 very, very close turns of Cathay on Cathay violence. Of one list wants to punch one list in the face, while the other really just doesn't want to get touched with a bunch of lanterns. Uh, don't want to spoil that one too much because there could be some stuff in the works. There could be another round to be played. We're
Yeah.
pending.
Yeah.
Uh,
And this is the most recent, right? So this is the tournament that is going on in November on
yep,
the Italian community.
yep.
So, spoiler, I'm sharing my screen, but and I will put the link in the description. So go check out allthetilian.it. So that's the website of the Italian Federation of Warhammer: The Old World. Is a jewelry of IT and website. So you will find everything in there. You just have to sign up, and then you will get access to everything. And Ryan, right after Germany, right? So we were talking about it, and you were like, "Oh God, I'm so excited about this whole European thing. I'm gonna play as much as I can with the Europeans." And you made this. You signed up for this Tilian Series Online 250, which is kind of like the ATP league.
Mhm.
But we're gonna make an episode on that specifically. And you did do amazingly. Like I'm showing the leaderboard, the final results. So Mr. Kata score, like you ended up actually tied to the first. So you didn't win just because of the victory points differential, right?
Yep, it was just down to the differential on the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
One
So
one chariot crumble test would have changed that.
would have changed that. So you see, it comes down when you step up your game, it really comes down to little details here and there that can be significantly that could significantly swing the game in one direction or the other. So I'm just reading through, say, the top five players. So the event was won by Sergey with Vampire Counts. As we said, you came in second with Cathay. Then Manuel was in third. And then my dear friend, longtime friend, Andrea Zambon with Vampire Counts again in fourth. And Mateo Expert, you're going to talk about for sure this game because it has been a huge game in both sides of the ocean when you guys played for first, because you really played for the win
Yep.
in tournament in T3, right? In round three with TK. And then our Patreon and subscriber, thank you, Fabio, with Cathay again. So first of all, big news on the factions? Not really, right?
No, some of the lists were surprising, but faction wise, no, it probably ended about where it should have. There was actually a lot of Cathay that didn't represent as well as I was expecting. I figured it was going to be higher, and
Yeah,
the top half it was
yeah.
roughly about where it should be, but I thought there might have been a couple more that slept through.
Yeah. So by the way, if you do subscribe to this portal, you see it's super easy to access. You see leaderboard, the matches, so the pairings, general info on the event, and then all the army list in there, which is amazing. So why don't we have a look? Let's start with your list, Ryan, so you can tell us about it, because this is a pretty interesting list. Like I remember, because I'm also in the Italian groups, when they were going through your list, they were like, "Oh my God, we didn't see like a list like this coming." So tell us a little bit about it. Can you
Yeah,
maybe you can just
no one
describe it?
was ready for this list in that event. No one knew how to approach my list. So it was the first big event that Jade Fleet had actually been allowed to play. No one was expecting Jade Fleet to be anything other than maybe a couple small iterations and nuances where you can get that third lantern and pick it up and put it in uh, for that third strategist or something like that. That's kind of how people were looking at it. And then there was me and a couple other people here in the US, and we decided that we wanted to kind of go a very different way with Cathay. Instead of playing lanterns and playing a lot of how can I do things and make it still avoidance and shoot people, I decided to flip it on its head and say, how many monsters can I throw on this board and put so much pressure on my opponents that they can't react? They have to deal with me. And all of my stuff requires pure removal of the model almost to be able to even get points off me. It is very, very hard to take points against this list. So starting off at the top, I had Meow. Meow is kind of a sleeper pick. I don't know if I would run her again after this event. I didn't run her this time. I don't know if I would continue running her. Her output is middling. Not having the Lord on there kind of hurts. There's some weird instances where if she gets Monster Slayered, it causes some weird interactions where she repops on the board and then they can reform because they technically won the combat and then they just stare her down with whatever they killed her with to begin with. She's really good. She has a lot of denial potential, but there's a lot of fights she doesn't actually want to get into. And because of her base size, it's really hard to get her into some fights if the opponent is actually good.
Yeah.
Then we go
Which
into
is, which is already kind of a good point. And when I look at the cost, like Miao Ying is like 485. So you can fit a Shugengan Lord with illusion, full setup, right? So okay.
Yep.
So that was for Miao Ying, which we
Yep.
call Miao Miao in Italian,
meow.
because Miao, it's like when the cat meows, we say meow. So it's a nice way of calling. We usually call it meow meow. Anyway,
But then we
so
move
basically,
into the
yeah,
triple Shigungans is crucial to this list.
Yeah,
All of them take battle magic. You are literally running these guys to go smash into things and start casting Hammer Hand, smack a bunch of impact hits into them, and then you're still throwing 6 attacks a turn at Strength 5, Weapon Skill 5, maybe Weapon Skill 6, depending on your wins rolls. Guy with the Alchemist Mask, spoiler alert, he still exists in the new list. There's been some minor adjustments to the list going forward, but Alchemist Mask was nice, being able to get that AP2 in there, so then you're hitting with AP2 impacts, AP3 off of everything else.
Yes, that's amazing. I do think too. And when you remember when you were building the list, we were chatting about it, and there were some examples where you didn't have the mask, and I was like, no, that mask, in my opinion, needs to be there, because you will be able to just maximize the output so much more with that thing. It's insane. It's a bounce spell level 3. It's like
That's
power
3.
level 3. It's a lot. It's like better than a level 4 mage that is casting. So so in looking at this, and we didn't prep for this, it's coming very natural. Like, did you, in going back, would you spend some points in getting a magical weapon for your Shug generals, or not really, because you have battle magic, so whatever is ethereal you can also
The battle magic usually covers the bases. We can go over the adjustments. It is current on the new event that's ongoing for this month.
Yes. So we can go, we can look at that list up. Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah. So then core units, I mean, I wouldn't say big surprises. Not really.
Probably bigger than they should have been. It was 546. I probably could have trimmed down to 500. Double Rings of Jet. One with Celestial Dragon Guard. I didn't take any magical banners in this one. That ended up almost biting me in this event. No icon of Heavenly Fury. Andrea, you heard me and saw it inside the chats that we were in, that I was regretting that multiple times throughout the event of, God, I wish I had just taken it. It's too good of an item not to take.
Yeah. And it's true that in the direction that the meta game is going, but we're going to talk about that probably at the end, it might not always be effective, but it's a nice to have item. So if you need it, you really need it. If you don't need it, okay, listen, I'm going to play with 35 points less than my opponent. Not a big deal, So, but then
the double rings of Jet were just common, so good. They do so much work. And then we get into the point where no one expected this list to go. Normally you would expect some cannons in this list. Normally you would expect some lanterns somewhere in this list. I said, let's not play Cathay like that. Let's go completely into the mercenaries route. These mercenaries do a couple of really neat things. Number one, when those captains are near those lancers start rerolling ones to hit. It matters. It matters a lot in a couple instances. The other big thing is both of those captains are immune to panic. They both have hold the line. So nothing that happens around them, they don't care. You can't just push these guys around. They're stuck in. The white cloak is especially really good into the mirror. Dragon fire bombs, that guy, he just don't care. That means that he's looking at that dragon fire bombs with a 3-up save, and go ahead,
Whatever.
try.
Yeah.
So he's really spicy into the mirror. Having both of those griffins, that allows stomps to come into the list too that it doesn't have. Cathay doesn't have normally outside of Meow. As well as
correct.
they're on a 50x50 base. They're super maneuverable. They're an 18 fly 9 dude that's on a 50x50. He gets to just go kind of where he wants, and no one gets to say anything. It also has 2 more terrors within the list. So they're just there to just punch people in the face and do things, and you can't really ignore them.
Yeah, and you make those captains like 6 wounds or 5 wounds?
They're 5 wounds apiece.
5 wounds, T5.
T5. T5 with a 3-up, 5-up save.
So they're like a mini Shugengan general, really.
Yep, except
on
they have
top
lance.
of the other 3 guys.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I see that. I see that, and of course the 5 Empire archers that you are forced to put down, which is fine. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, it was just so that I could hit that third unit that wasn't a hero.
Yeah, exactly. So the one thing that just comes to my mind when I look at this is like, how do you play with scenarios? Like, how can you control the quarters? How can you score the strategic locations? Because you really just have 2 units. Did you feel this? Like, did you kind of like felt it during, the games?
I looked at the pack before I submitted the list. I knew what the scenarios were for this one. We had double breakpoints, and we had, I think, one was domination. Weirdly, the list does very well on domination. Each of those models is either 6 or 5 unit strength, so they contribute a lot of unit strength without having to worry about them just dying. They can just disperse the end of the game, and they're usually really good about tearing apart the other units while the other person's scoring units that they want to play the domination with. Strategic locations gets a little tricky, but once again, you have 6 monsters on the board. They can't just hold a location and set there, because if they do, the next thing they know is 6 monsters are looking at it and wants to make that go away pretty quick. They aren't going to be able to get those ticks very long. So they have to be mindful about their movement the whole game, and they can't just set and collect.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's also, again, and I like this because this gives an immediate translation to what we were saying in the introduction. The approach and the thought process in the US starts from a very different, point, which is like, I want to put pressure on the opponent. And I think what I love about your list, and what I loved about the way you came through the event, is that you managed to translate that US, say, attitude, like adapting it to what you knew or you thought you could see and find in the list in Italy after your experience in Germany, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. And then this is actually the list that we see here, that for of the guy that won the event. So Sergey, again, tied with Ryan, but he had like more victory points. So I would say not a super innovative list. Like, I'm not super surprised. It's like clearly on the ethereal side, with how many screams? 1, 2, 3. So he has 3 screams and then a ton of ethereal units.
Yep.
So
he's looking to play against Cathay, the standard versions of Cathay that just don't really have good answers to that ethereal.
Yeah, and I remember that when I played Nova, the Nova Open GT, my game 4 was against the Rob, and he was
Mhm.
running like a very similar list to this one. He had the Cairn Wraith, 2 Banshees, the blocks. I think he only had 1 unit of X-Rates, and then he had like another units that he had the cart, the zombie cart.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea of the list was really the same, and I was like, I only have 1 Shug Lord that really has output for that, because mistakenly I put high magic on my Shugengan general for drain magic, which in comparison to Hammerhand, not really. And so I was in a real big trouble, but I got very lucky with this Mortis engine and I could destroy it. But I mean, I see what you're saying. This is a Nanthi Cathay list if you play with the meta that is known. But if you surprise the meta the way you did, how do you? I know you didn't play this list, but like, if you would have to give a prediction, what would you say? Like, how would you think the game would be?
Spoiler alert, I played against that exact list, that exact player in round 2 of the current month, and I 6-0'd him.
Okay, then. Well, then it's not like it doesn't come out of like a hypothesis. It's a reality. Um, okay, yeah, because at the end of the day, he doesn't. He simply cannot manage the amount of threats, magical threats, by the way, that you have, that you're fielding. So, what can he do,
Yeah,
right?
it's really hard to deal with my list with that, because where he's banking on being able to play those hex race or being able to try and pin someone with those graveguard like most lists would with the additional screams. I'm just too mobile. He doesn't have a way to stop me.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So with that, let's have a look at the let me see if I can go back here. Okay, I already made a mistake. But let's look at what you accomplished in your games, because I think there were a couple of them that were particularly interesting. So if I look at the matches, I don't know if you want to talk specifically about this game, but I think the game you played with Matteo Expert, Matteo De Francesco, who's, by the way, a member of Team Italy. They just like scored the podium in the World Cup. Fine player, great guy. And I remember you texted me something like in the chat. You were like, man, I'm coming out of like 6 turns. Like, my brain is exhausted because I had to really, scale up my game, right?
Yeah, expert pushed me to the limit of what I could do in a game. It required probably the most intricate movement game that I've played in a long time. He played the objective very well. He played the terrain incredibly well. He was limiting a lot of the options that I had.
Yeah.
It was a lot of avoidance play. It took a lot of the experience that I've had from playing other avoidance lists, applying it to a pressure list to be able to actually crack his list.
Hmm. Yeah, which makes sense because I mean, I never played Matteo directly, but I've seen a few of his games, so I know. I mean, first of all, I know the level of the game of the player, but I also know that he's very good with like maneuvering and like positioning and everything. Which, as we were talking at the beginning, it, that is what really comes down to in Europe and Italy in particular. So can you comment on his list? Like, which I find a list surprisingly very US.
It's
Um,
it looks shockingly like Phil's.
yes,
It's
exactly.
a wonder that I was able to beat it, and it's mostly because I've had many exposures to this almost identical list because of Phil.
Yes.
Uh, the Mort Priest is a little bit different. Normally, Phil would have had it on one of the dragons. It being included in the unit was less of a threat in this case. The Double Kings, really good. The Armor of Destiny one's exceptionally good in combat. The Armor of the Ages, also exceptionally good, forcing you to make those rerolls. Just one chariot. That one chariot, however, it's what cost me the event. It was
Yes.
probably the luckiest chariot that's ever lived, or unlived, either way.
Or unlit. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yes. Yeah,
Then we
and
had
maybe we can have I don't know, Ryan, if you'll be able to share
I do.
once we're done with the review. So we're gonna show you guys some screenshots of the battle report, because again, this tournament was done on Warhall, so that has been online. Which, by the way, it's something that we highly encourage, specifically the US players. And there is also like a fantastic episode of the Dawi After Dark podcast with Corey, who's the new captain of Team USA, on, where he's basically like, we need you. So we are recruiting a lot of people, right, Ryan? Like, our Discord channel is booming, but like, go on Warhol, play there. I know it's not as fun as playing with the miniatures, but like, do it, because it's amazing. So two dragons on two kings and dragons, then the big block of archers, which is not done.
Yep.
It's not
It's not bad.
over. Still there. Still there.
It's still there. It still can potentially do some chip. It can do some work if it gets lucky. The horse archers are great. They get to score. They get to do what they want to do, and you can kind of bring them back. They can just really be annoying with that reserve move. And because of chariot runners, he could have done some spicy things with the chariot. Just against my list, he didn't have those options. So when we can go over those screenshots, you won't see anything spicy with it with the chariot runners, but it was an option that he had in his book. The
Mm-hmm.
carrion are really good. They're really good with the baggage trains being such a prevalent objective. 4 of them is 12 unit strength. They can go in there. You need to kill 2 of them. I think they're 2 or 3 wounds apiece. They don't go down easy. They can just sit there,
No.
hop on an
T4.
objective. Yeah, they're T4
Yep.
as well. They're not easy to just pop off like the Fellbats out of the vampire counts. Carrion go rip up that baggage cart real quick, and I mean, it's 108 points. They make 200 points on their own at that point, and they paid for themselves. They're just exceptionally good at what they do. And
Yeah.
then Necrosphinx says, I don't know if we need to even talk about how good they are. They're just costed so well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we know all about it. And overall, again, it looks like the only big difference with Phil is like he's running a big block of chariots instead of the archers. And he has the mage on dragon rather than a level 1 on foot, which is really the big difference. And Phil is playing the cataphract, no, not the cataphracts, the stalkers from the sands, right? So the big
I think he
unit.
dropped the stalkers. I think that
Oh, he
stalkers
did.
don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they're also core, which I found it was a brilliant move in his list, to be like, oh, I can pop that unit in ambush or with the beneath the sand special rule anywhere where I need to.
Mhm.
They can destroy war machines, flank charge, contest to get domination, baggage train, and all of that. So, but very, very, very nice list. So, and so what happened for everybody is like, I think what it came down is that Sergey, round 3, 6-0'd his opponent, and you had the big clash with Mateo, and you ended up doing a 5-1, which costed you that 1 point that ended up costing you the whole tournament. But still, you scored a beautiful number 2. So maybe we can start like introducing the game while you can pull the battle report, because I think we can give a visual explanation to anybody who's watching, because they might be in the place where they're like, yeah, I hear a lot of talking, but what does it really mean to play differently? Like, is like, so what do you guys mean? Because yes, we understand the list building, the thought process, but then how do you physically play? Which is the interesting part. And here Ryan is showing us, which I find, by the way, guys, this feature on Warhol is so good. So Hugo really had an amazing idea. So basically, for anybody who doesn't know this, you get a full report at the end of the game, provided that you did everything with the right steps. With that, check out our tutorial on Warhall. So you'll find it in the playlist for tutorials. You can just put the English captions. It's in Italy. It's in Italian, but you'll see the steps you have to achieve in order to generate the battle report. But with this, like, you have list, and then you can scroll through deployment and etc. So I'll be silent and I'll let Ryan explain to us the game of the tournament. I think.
Yeah, this was really the game that got a lot of attention for that tournament. So we went into a deployment. As we can go back, we can roll back. It was upon the fields of glory. So it's really just that old open battle deployment with baggage trains. That was it. That was all we had going on this game. So not a lot of additional things. This was really a kill points, mostly kill points type game. You'll see the deployment. You'll see that he did a really good job. He has the low linear here up in this corner. Let's see if I can zoom this in. Here we go. There we go. Much better. You can see that he has this low linear, and he does put his baggage train right here underneath the skeleton archers. Excellent play by expert. It meant that because his units can only ever give ground, that unit is stuck in place. You can't come into the front of that unit ever. You can't come into the side of it. You can't you can come into the side of it, but you can't push this unit. It is there. That is just its home from that point forward.
Yeah.
He does a really
models.
Yeah.
What they do. Yeah.
And he does a great job of setting up these skirmishers in the back. Really hard to pick them up back there. He knew that my list was very aggressive. I want to close that gap. He has those horse archers that are hanging out way out here. Once again, this chariot, we'll talk about this chariot more as we go through this game.
These carrion, all about it.
Yeah, these carrion are very well placed. It's in case I get the first turn, I don't get to say anything about those carrion. They are just going to hang out where they're at. The Tomb King, the Necrosphinx, all of those are very well placed. I think the only thing I might have done different in his position is maybe flip the Necrosphinx off to the other side of the King, just because they get to pivot and move easier. The King realistically isn't going to crest this corner out here. It's probably going to look more at the centralized areas for an engagement. You'll notice that I kind of spread out my deployment. It's not a very American tactic. It's more of a very European approach to the game. A lot of times, if you look at Americans when they run Monster Mash, they want to condense everything into a very small package and make one big push. In this game, you can't do that. If you make one big push, you have to eat all of his monsters. So what I did was go ahead and spread out quite large across a large area. Expecting that maybe he gets first turn. I have the +1 because I have such a low drop count. I'm ambushing both those units of Lancers. Likelihood is I'm getting that +1. Yeah, I'm a 2-drop army. I'm likely getting the +1. Chances are high that I get the first turn.
Wow. So yeah, that's another thing, guys. Like, anybody watching, that's another part of the thought process when you play competitive. It's even like counting how many drops do I have. And by the way, in the video that I was mentioning, the captain of Italy was making a remark like this, that he got upset to some of the players because they made a mistake in one game. And I was like, man, this really scales up the level of play, because you start thinking about these things as Ryan is saying. It's like, I have a 2 drops, or actually 3 drops, or like 1 drop army if I want to. Like, I put the archers, characters, and I'm done. Wow.
Nope.
Nice.
So I ambushed so I could guarantee that +1, which ended up paying off. I end up getting the first turn. I have to play slightly aggressive, but not super aggressive. You don't get to see all the wonderful tools that Warhall has to offer when we look at the battle reports. But during this movement phase, I had all the radiuses on. I knew exactly where everything could move as I'm trying to get in there. I'm trying to hug the very outside edge of all of his charge ranges, just be that 1/10 of an inch outside. I do get really aggressive with the 2 Shigungans on the flanks. Basically says that he has to move all of this stuff right out here on the flanks, or I can just start making my rounds around everything. I do hide a Griffin back in here, and then get 1 Griffin so that if he goes ahead and decides to push, it's just got an Overwatch on it. We do have this slight small push up here. I actually end up just outside of like every range. I think I had it where he had to move or Meow was just inside being able to be shot at. I think it was just really close. And then I have these 5 archers who just are hanging out on this baggage train, making sure that nothing can come around and set on top of it on a movement phase. He has to dedicate a charge into those. So their role is to just deny that baggage train because you have to come into it on the remaining moves. It's going to be a 2 to 3 turn investment to actually get my baggage train.
Yeah, because I would say it's clear that Mateo plays the carry-ons there to get your baggage train for sure. So that was the play. And so you're like, okay, I have to think about that, knowing that he placed them there for a reason. So
yep.
Understood.
So we move into turn 2. Well, his turn 1, he plays fairly aggressive, but fairly standard. He does move the Sphinx up to start looking at the center. He gets these horse archers out of line of sight, so I can't go ahead and charge them. Brilliantly moves the carrion into the backfield where I can't charge them. We'll notice that this doesn't move. This king backs up instead of moving forward. It just starts to try and secure this flank, make sure that I can't just roll this flank. He does come out here with this one Sphinx and then walls this off. This right here is a very brilliant play that Expert does that I see a lot of players make the mistake of. They will try and skirmish screen something. They'll try and do something that's a great play. It forces some additional moves and additional steps. However, there was 2.9 inches right here. That is a very, very critical number because that means impact hits don't apply. If you can turn off the impact hits, you turn off potentially 2 to 4 wound threshold that Shogungan can throw just off the charge. So him doing that, because a skirmisher you have to charge into the closest visible model, was very crucial.
Yeah. So basically, in other words, he offered you the charge, saying that, well, either you roll very nice, like the dice and everything, and then you're able to basically, you know, like, how can I say? No, because he has the Master of Horse. Oh, I see, the champion.
So he has the challenge.
Okay.
He has the challenge, and I can't impact hit snipe
you cannot
the champion out.
So this, okay, got it. I was looking at the list while I was talking because I was like, I think I'm missing something. Yeah. So that's even more brilliant. It's like, okay, you're not gonna shut down my champion. So my champion's gonna issue challenge because you cannot do impact hits. So go ahead if you want. And then at that point, by math, you're not gonna be able to crumble him in one turn, right? And then the Necrosphinx is coming.
Correct. Yeah, it's a 2-turn crumble if I have to push through it.
Understood.
This was the first big major decision point in this game. We'll go into my top of 2. At this point, top of 2, we actually had perfect information to table 2. We knew that we had to 6-0 to either of us had to 6-0 to win the event at this point.
Okay, so
we knew that Sergey had 6-0'd. Yep, we knew that he had just 6-0'd his opponent. So that impacts a few of the decision-making processes that go into the further slides, but it's only because we had perfect information.
Right. Right.
So I do end up pushing into this unit. I do end up getting the one champion, Hammerhand.
Okay.
But we'll make a mistake. I did not use the Celestial Blade.
So
I did not use the Celestial Blade, which means that I did not use my strikes first. I used my hand weapon on this attack. When you are running Hammerhand, if you default to your hand weapon, that means that you can still attack the champion and use your Hammerhand in the same turn to generate that extra overkill. So, big play there to be able to...
like, this is a good play. Because remember, Hammerhand is an assailment spell. So the way it works is you charge, then challenges are issued. Then when it comes to your initiative turn, which is you made the 2-inch charge, right? So you were up
like
to
7.
initiative 7 or something. You roll for the assailment spell to see if it goes off. Went off, and then you do both the attacks on top and the Hammerhand. Well, that changes the outcome.
So small little details out like that are what are huge in these events over in Europe.
Fantastic. Love this.
I do move the Griffin around to make sure I know that I'm going to get caught on this unit of horse archers. There's just no way I get around it. The Griffin does now apply pressure to the chariot. He can't just leave it there to try and make me fall back in good order off the board. Otherwise, I get the chariot in return. I do end up getting this one Longma around, start getting positioned out here. I'm trying to pressure both these units to try and get them out of the way. Also, getting into the rear of the dragon is not a bad idea. I can't necessarily win the fight, but if I'm in the rear, it now means that I can start applying multiple charges, and he has to start reacting to it. Even if it is just a feint, it's a feint that applies pressure.
Yeah.
I do get this unit of lancers on this turn on ambush. I do get some unquiet spirits into the carrion. Just some minor pressure plays. As I said, I start getting these around to try and pressure his Sphinx back. Get Miao Yang into a max range charge for the Sphinx. Tell him, yes, he can potentially go ahead and swing the charge into it, but if he does, it's not going to be super great, and I can still just flee with Meow. So, yeah. Very, very technical turn 2 of just kind of lots of movement, and you'll notice that throughout this entire game. He does come in with the Sphinx. He whiffs his attacks into the Longma, which unfortunately didn't work out for him, because then I can throw everything. There not being a champion here anymore meant that I could throw into the unit and win combat by just destroying a lot of the unit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I missed it by a single model. I'm stuck for another turn. This one chariot does dip out the corner, being the annoying chariot it was. He does run this one Sphinx up, start putting pressure on the baggage train. You'll notice that I had shifted over with these archers. Yeah. I'm now going to be forced to have to shift again, potentially setting things up. We will notice that I do lose a Lancer here. He did charge the Carrion into the Lancers because they were this close to the board edge. He did make the play to try and, with all the attacks that they have, try and make me give ground off the board. It was a really dicey play. Them being infantry meant that I can't use the counter charge on them. So I was limited to just using strength 3 into it. Unfortunately, me being weapon skill 4 and on a weapon skill turn, making me weapon skill 5, meant that fighting in 2 ranks into those ended up not going his way with all the static combat res that they already had.
Because you were like on 3s and 5s, but you ended up like clearing.
He does move the dragon more, trying to reposition, try and keep pressure here so that I can't just cross no man's land out here. He did a really good job of securing the center with the movement here. He manages to hide these skirmishers behind that, knowing that there's no chance that I'm ever going to just single commit a Longma into the flank of a dragon. It's a very well played move. And then he gets these archers out of the way. Very well played on his part. Very clean turn. Nothing major. Like this was a very smart play. It had a chance of going very swingy in his favor if Monster Slayer goes off, or if he manages to get the wounds and then I just whiff a few rolls. It just happened to be what it was. Turn 3, another very technical turn. We'll try and roll through these. I know we're starting to get close on time. I make some moves, start trying to pen this one Sphinx, start making aggression, bring a jet out here, start trying to whittle things down. This is where I start trying to roll this corner. He did leave a gap here, so I start rolling this corner around with some of my monsters. Meow starts trying to hunt this down along with this one Longma to try and trap this, saying if he wants to go into this, he can surely have this charge into my archers, but giving him that charge means that I now get to throw Meow into him. Very, very simplistic turn. Turn 3 his side. We'll notice that doesn't look right. I think we had to, there we go. Just had a little bit of hang here. Turn 3 his side, we see that he makes some moves. He does get Curse Blade, gets a couple chip off Meow. Makes some more small moves, gets the Sphinx. He's really trying hard to hunt this one Griffin over here, trying to move this around to maybe make a terror play because it's got that death mask on it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Play. We're still turn 3. As I said, over in Europe, the big stuff doesn't start happening until late game. We're looking at these small engagements. We're really checking for that position. He's trying to say, if I want these things, I have to come into charges. If I don't want these things, then I have to start making more moves. Turn 4. This is when things start going very well for me in the movement phase. He wasn't expecting some of the moves that I made. He comes around, he pushes the Sphinx out here. So I go ahead and march check these Empire archers off, get them out of arc. I turn these lancers around. I start trying to get some Unquiet Spirits pressure on. Also saying that if you want to hang out here, I can push a flank and some extra combat res into your flank if I have to come in. Basically had set up so that way if he decided to touch my baggage train, I now get free reign to come into combat with him. I do get my other ambushers on. We try and Unquiet Spirits the first turn. It doesn't go off. We'll talk about this corner. This corner is huge. He did pull back, which was that attempt to trap. Unfortunately, what he did not see was me coming around and then just using his own dragon as the body block that says, you can't see me, and now I'm setting in a really, really disadvantageous spot for your brick. I now have your flank. I also roll this one Longma up. I don't make it move a ton, but I do get it close enough that now the skirmishers are outside of range. I can start making plays here, and then I do dip this one Griffin out of, once again, this arc on this dragon. Just saying, I don't have to fight you if I don't want to. I can continue to play movement. All of my stuff moves extremely fast.
But this is the point of what we were saying before, right? So trying to come up with a list that is movable, and you have to deal with an amount of threats you cannot possibly do, because at the end of the day, he has 4 units, you have 6. So, and then at some point you start losing a Sphinx, and then what? Then you will still have all your pieces on the board, and you will start like playing and threatening from every single direction. I love this list. I love this list.
So he comes up, he makes, on his turn 4, he makes the move with the Sphinx, starts to try and say, I will deny you the play with the Lancers. Gets the Chariot up, starts trying to get into the rear, maybe get some combat res here, start trying to apply pressure on the baggage train again. He does push this dragon up, uses the breath weapon, no, he marched this turn, so no breath weapon this turn. He does get this skirmish screen. Once again, he plays it really smart. He gets that real close edge of that one unit. Gets these horse archers out of arc, tries to pivot this. Now, this is crucial. This was too small to fit a dragon inside of. That was the one big misplay here, was there was just enough. He could have reformed this turn, went a little bit wider, and left himself some room so that if I do dip behind, he could have charged me. In Italy, you have to land the charge before you get your free wheel. So it was going to be extremely hard. Turn 5. This is when the grind starts. This is that very European meta. This is how we get there. Meow comes in. She gets into the fight. We push these archers back on here, making sure that no one can just go ahead and land. We turn these guys around.
You charge his Sphinx with Meow.
Yep, I do charge the Sphinx with Meow, which was a very... It's kind of risky because of the Monster Slayer on the decapitating blow, but it is a...
It's 1 die.
Yep, 1 die. So, I mean, it's not a high chance, but it's not a non-existent chance either.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This was what he was not expecting. He tried to pin he did pin my Lancers, but he pinned them in a way that I moved them up against the low linear obstacle, which meant that it was a defended low linear obstacle, so he had to charge the obstacle and not me. Even though technically he can make contact here, because of the low linear, how Raw works, you have to come into the obstacle instead.
This is something that I also didn't see. So basically, what I'm hearing you saying is, if you are defending an LLO and you get charged, even if the opponent can align in a place where there's no obstacle, he has to go where the obstacle is.
Yes.
Well, that's big.
Yep.
So no stomps.
No stomps. Only one attack off the profile.
One attack. Okay.
So getting this up here was crucial to being able to hold this flank. It also meant that it was another turn wasted on this Sphinx. We noticed that he once again tries to get these up. There was a chance that with this Griffin coming into the flank that I kill enough that this comes around the corner. I killed just one less than I needed to kill for him to be able to make that charge. I win combat over here. I'm breaking ranks because I'm over unit strength 5 and a flank. This Longma has now gotten into the fight on the top of my 5, which means that the top of my 6 it should be free. Going into the bottom of 5, big things happen. He goes ahead, charges, fights these Lancers. He only gets one of them. I do sacrifice a champion to that. I fall back in good order because of how we were set. I barely fit. Barely fit. We then have the fight. He challenges me with the meow to me. I accept. He wins combat. I give ground. I can't give ground because when I set up, I had the expectation that it's all or nothing at this point. I need to set up so that I can't bump, or I'm going to fall off the board here. One way or the other, it's got to be this. So I set up so that I can't bump, hoping that I can dice into it. I end up dicing into it and I managed to stay safe. Once again, kind of some small rear.
Yeah, that was one of the moments on the chats where they were like, okay, so now it's like, let's see how this one goes, because if it doesn't play out that way, then it's off the board. So I remember that because I unfortunately only could see the messages from you and from them, but I couldn't see the game because I was doing something else. And I was like, I really want to see like what's going on. But thank God I can see that now. All right. Awesome.
He does attempt to terror test these guys off. He fails the terror test, which meant he had to charge into them. Gets that one attack off the profile. I don't even have to sacrifice a champion here. He gets one attack into my Lancers. We swing back. I think we actually did a wound into it. It's enough to bounce him. That's all we needed to accomplish, which allowed us to reform facing this way. This chariot continues to make its move across the board. This makes this turn here, but can't make it in. He's hoping for the turn 6 play of being able to get into the fight and make everything flee on that, depending on what happens. We'll notice that the horse archers die here. The horse archers ended up rear charging the Griffin. Excellent move on his part. I'm breaking ranks. He doesn't get any real bonuses off this. He's trying to get that extra +2. He challenges me with the Master of Forces. I end up killing it with enough overkill to actually win combat by 1. It ends up crumbling the rest of that unit, which unfortunately causes him to lose full points for that unit and continues locking this unit in place. He doesn't get to reform out of this. It's currently stuck. I do end up killing this.
Yeah, which was actually what he was hoping for. So
he was again, hoping to break that.
I would say all these things that Ryan is highlighting now are giving you the idea of the level of, it's like in chess. So you don't really move to react to a move or because you think, okay, so next move, I'm going to do this. You have to actually think 4 or 5 time moves in advance if you really are playing the game correctly from a competitive level. It's like deployment will allow me to do in the next 2 rounds this. If I move this unit here, means that he charges me, his turn, my next turn, then I'll charge. You have to think and project the game in the future enough to know what you really want to do and put the other one in the worst position possible. I love this. I love this debrief, Ryan. It's amazing.
Yep. And then we had the skeleton skirmishers. As I said, I knew that coming into him, my top of 5 meant that I could whittle through them by the end of bottom of 5 and have him free again. Then we come into 6. 6 is a massive turn. Absolutely massive turn. He was not ready for this. Transformation of the Dragon gets Meow out of range. We bring these guys up along. There was a sight line to this chariot. We get these guys broke free of that Sphinx. We get these guys screened, so that way if he goes ahead and fights into, he can't charge my Lancers. There's no legal way to land into him with the Sphinx.
Yeah.
Best he can do is charge the Lancers, hope they tear off, and then maybe get in.
Yeah.
But it's
and
still
your baggage train is safe.
The baggage train is safe. There is no way he can get the baggage train at this point. At this point, I do get all of the friends into the brick. We end up doing like 36 combat resolution, well, 36 wounds into that brick, and end up just blowing the brick up. You'll see that I try and overrun, get everything out as much as possible, so that way that the dragon can't potentially get any other real threats in. I took nothing coming into this. It was a very easy, well thought out fight there. You just have to throw enough things in at once to get it. I do try and throw a bunch of magic into this chariot. It survives It survives with 2 wounds. Tomb Kings and any other undeads lose their regions at this point because I killed their mortuary priest, which meant that there was crumble tests across the board. If this had failed right here, we had hit breakpoint. If he had failed, it would have hit breakpoint. I had hit break. I didn't.
6-0.
When I did the numbers, I could leave all of the characters, but kill everything else in his army and hit breakpoint. This surviving cost me 600 points and the tournament. And if it had died on the crumble, the game would have been over at this point.
Was it on what? Leadership 6, right? I think the skeleton are.
I think it's 6 or something like that. 6, it's not very high.
Yeah.
But he managed to make that one on double 1. We go to the top. The report's gone. We don't get the turn 6. Turn 6, top of 6, this crumbles and dies. Because it crumbled on his turn, I don't get breakpoint. Because it has to go into the next start of turn phase.
Yes.
He does charge the Sphinx in. These guys roll a double 1 on the terror test and just eat the Sphinx's wounds. He gets a whole 35 points out of me. He did try to do a couple wounds here, I think.
Yeah.
I think there was like a panic check here. I did panic, which caused to fall back in good order. However, because I was 8 wide, well, I still had 8. What he was not ready for was me to just go ahead and make them a single file line and still be within 6 inches of my baggage train to pick those points up.
Wow.
So, very technical game.
Very, very technical game. Sounds like this is a game where, like a little mistake, like a little moment of misjudgment, or like a little distraction, or anything like that could swing the game hard, one side or the other. Because again, the beauty of playing competitively is at times it might be boring, a little bit boring from the outside, because you don't, especially if you don't know the game well, you don't really understand. It's like, well, seems like they're doing minimal moves, and it's like nothing's really happening, but a lot is happening, because it is this constant, projecting things forward and backward, and what if scenario 1, he makes it, it doesn't make it, it happens this, it happens that. So that's really when the game changes, rather than the casual game at the club with your friends, at home with your whatever, with your buddies. So that is a different way of intending the game. And Ryan, I'm curious to hear, because again, I'm like kind of like I have my foot in 2 shoes, as we say, my feet in 2 shoes, as we say in Italy, because I play here, but I'm also European, so I play with my friends in Europe. So, but from your perspective, if you would have to tell anybody, it's like, because it may sound like a lot, it's like, oh my God, will I ever get there? So what would you say? Like, what would you say give as a message to be like, what can I do to get there?
The best thing that people can do is just start getting like there's top 3s. There's the top 3 things of what to do. First off, learn your list. Know what your list does inside and out. Once you know what your list does, you can start actually making your strategy based around your list. Knowing how your units work is a very, very important part of just the game. Uh, Missing things is can cost you the game. Just I forgot that I had D3+1 impacts, or I forgot that I had stomps, or I forgot that I caused terror. Things like those, or immune to psychology. Immune to psychologies cost me a couple of plays that I probably could have set up better because I forgot that a unit couldn't flee a move. Things like that are very, very big. Just knowing what your units do. Number two, get reps in. Just the more you play, the better you get. You might get smashed a few times along the way, but if you're playing those games and you're taking every turn as a lesson instead of worrying about whether you win or lose, you start making those dividends and improvements. The third thing, learn movement. 90% of this game is in the movement phase. Probabilities and averages and stuff like that are a big thing when you start getting into the really high levels, but it's minimal. One mistake in movement will cost you the game against a really good player. They'll be able to capitalize on that, be able to slip into a spot that you thought was safe, but it's not safe.
But it's not
Be able to get into a unit that you weren't thinking was right, or you don't screen off an area so they're able to wheel around into that area. Just like in this game with Expert, he thought he was safe in that one little corner, but he left me just enough room and opportunity to be able to go ahead and get around that backside.
Yeah, yeah, amazing, amazing. So I would say we are hitting time. So this means it's time for a gong, a Sun Tzu gong. And what I want to say is I had a blast, even though I feel like I knew this game even before, but seeing the battle report with your comments, it's completely different. So this is, as I said at the beginning, it's just the first of many episodes that Ryan and I will start pulling off. We'll have interviews, tournament organizers, talk about the competitive scene in the States. What can we do to improve rankings? Everything we have a ton in the pipe that we would like to share with you. And we will do many more of this because Ryan is playing a lot, as he just said, and we're also partnering in a fantastic team tournament events with the so-called German comps on Warhall. So we secured victory in round one. So let's go Yankees! And but we'll come back for more. Ryan, thank you so much. It was great to have you. And yeah, and I look forward to see everybody in the next episodes. Meanwhile, don't forget, like the video, 100 likes per video, subscribe, put in your comments. We want to hear from you. Any of your thoughts, what you think about, like, what would you like to do? Communities, do you know or you don't know where to play? We can help. So just let us know. And we're going to see you soon in another episode of Sun Tzu Secrets. Thank you, everybody. Ciao.